This is CHSR 97.9 FM here in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, and you're listening to Python's Paradise, your film and music show. And this is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena. And folks, Steve Joyner has brought me several interesting guests, amazing guests over the past couple of months since I've known him. And tonight, he's brought me somebody quite intriguing, and I'm getting more intrigued just by reading up on her stuff. A budding young talent named Kim Culpepper. How do you do, Kim?
Hey, nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you, too. Yes, Steve Joyner sang your praises. I was just wondering how you came to encounter him.
Actually, we're Facebook friends. He saw one of my casting calls that I have for a short film that's coming up called The Undercarriage.
Okay.
And I'll be directing it. I'm actually normally the writer of everything that I direct, but this particular one was written by a friend of mine, and he actually asked me to direct it, and at first I didn't want to, but after much begging and pulling on my arm and heartstrings, I agreed to direct it. So we're currently in casting and pre-production for that. I actually write horror, and most of the stuff that I do produce or direct is strictly in the horror genre. I've actually got a web series that a production company in Detroit, Michigan actually asked me to work on writing and directing and producing it. It's actually about dating. And so that's kind of out of my wheelhouse a little bit, but I think, some of the best creations of art that you can come up with are things that aren't what you are normally used to. So I'm really excited about getting that one together and get it going.
You're most comfortable in the writing process, right?
Yes, I've been a writer since I was 12 years old. Actually, my first book that I ever read was Pet Sematary by Stephen King.
Okay.
And it was inspiring because I grew up in a very violent household. I come from a family that I was severely neglected from, and I think, horror was an escape for me. And so I started writing to get some of those emotions and feelings out on the paper, and the best way to do that was through horror for me. And I have been writing ever since then. I'm actually a published author. I've got a book out called The Blood Talisman.
Okay.
And my publisher is actually in the UK. So I consider myself an internationally published author.
Yeah.
And I've had several short stories published over the past few years. And just recently, within the last year, I've started screenplay writing, and I've got 2 short films out already that I actually wrote myself. And like I said, I've got the one coming up that I'll be directing, and then the web series.
You mentioned horror films where you escaped. Did you have any favorite horror films?
There's so many. I have to say my absolutely favorite horror film is The Shining.
Okay.
The Stanley Kubrick version. I think it's because the way that it was written by Stephen King, of course, and it stars Jack Nicholson, who is just absolutely a brilliant actor, and just Stanley Kubrick's just direction of the entire film. There's actually a documentary on it of how he got his actors to react to certain things in the film and things like that, and how hard he pushed his actors. It's just awe-inspiring as a female director to get your actors to act in the environment of the story, especially when it comes to horror. That and I love the comedic horror movies like Zombieland and Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
My favorite. I could just watch over and over again. Come to mind. And of course, I'm a huge Walking Dead fan. That's actually filmed here in Atlanta, Genoa, Georgia. And I have actually quite a few friends that do background work that are zombies in the show, and they in some play saviors in the show. And it's just a huge, huge following here in Atlanta. And I don't know, in Canada how it is there, but one of my favorite shows. I'm a big
It's got a big following here too. It's been interesting. You mentioned The Shining and Kubrick and Stephen King. Did you know that Stephen King did not like Kubrick's version of The Shining?
I do, and it actually got remade, much to Stephen King's liking, but I prefer the Stanley Kubrick version. Whenever, as a writer, whenever you give someone your story, that's like your baby, because you have just sit there and learned the characters like they're a part of you. So when you give your story over to a director to produce that story, as a writer, it's almost scary to see what they come up with.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I completely understand his plight in that some things that were in the book were not in the movie, and you kind of have to let that go a little bit and let the director produce his art in his way that he saw the story. And I think Stanley Kubrick just did a very good job at creating the story that he saw from the story he read.
He most certainly did. He certainly knew how to bring you into the mindset of the inner madness being enclosed for such a long period and not being able to leave. And of course, you
right.
Yeah,
and that touches on another favorite subject of mine, psychopaths and sociopaths, and how they get to the point that they get to actually kill someone. And I actually had a discussion about that last night with a woman. I did a documentary on horror and gore in film, actually just last night, and we were talking about how how different it is for the reality of people who have mental disorders versus what film and TV portray. It's a completely different scenario, because there's psychopaths and sociopaths that walk among us, every day, and we never know that they think that way or don't think that way. And it's just very interesting to me to see, the depiction in film versus the real versions of psychopaths and sociopaths.
I think one of the best examples I can think of was Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho with Norman Bates. It was an interesting case study in itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's actually a TV show called Bates Motel that's out, and I watched the first 2 seasons of it, but I got too busy to finish watching, and it's actually a really good series. But, that it just, I kind of like how film portrays it, but at the same time, it's a detrimental thing to people who actually have mental disorders, and that, the way film and TV portrays it is just, they use it for, entertainment purposes, and it's, it can be a really horrific thing for family members and things like that have to deal with people who are actually like that,
Yeah. Well, you're just kind of coming out of your own here, but even though you've been writing since age 12, I would like to ask for a little more of your background information, like where you're from and how you come to be where you are in terms of writing, in terms of your love for movies.
I was born and raised in Columbus, Mississippi.
Okay.
Hence the accent. And I actually just moved to the Atlanta area last April, so I've been here for almost exactly a year. And film, TV, writing, all of this has been a dream of mine since I was a little girl, and it's always been an escape for me to see, the outside world, the way other people live, and write about it and watch it and just study it. And I grew up very poor. I was the first one ever to graduate high school in my family, much less go to college. I actually have an almost business degree. I started out going for English literature, and then, I just thought, well, every artist always has a backup plan because, you never know how things are going to work in life. So business was going to be mine, and I actually own property. I'm a property manager, and actually work for a property management firm here in Atlanta in accounting. And I have 2 lovely children that live back home with their dad, and they also stay with me some in the summer and every break that they have. And they know what mommy does. They know what I write. And my daughter's actually a huge zombie fan. She's 8, and she loves to act like zombies and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's interesting how far zombies have come since Night of the Living Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you got one feature that came out this year called Overlook the Edge. Now,
right, yeah. I started out in film. I started to try to get into the film industry through acting. My publisher, who's over in the UK, actually told me that he likes my short stories so much that I should try to turn them into screenplays, because whenever you're a writer, I think you know whether or not you're going to be a novelist or a screenplay writer. It's kind of hard to differentiate and make you the same thing. I actually prefer screenwriting now over novel writing and short stories and stuff now that I've gotten into screenplay writing. But I first got into learning how film productions work and all that through acting, through background acting and things like that. And Atlanta's got a huge, huge draw for that now. We've got in between 30 and 40 productions going on in between TV and film in the Atlanta area. And Overlook the Edge, I actually filmed that in Birmingham, Alabama, which they do have some all over the South. They film in New Orleans, they film in southern Mississippi, in Birmingham, actually in southern Alabama, and Nashville now, and Memphis, but they're started to film from there. So all over the South is really become a film and TV mecca. And anyway, I got into that just basically, it was just a really short role, actually, where I played a prostitute with a detective, and that's pretty much, one of my starts to work in the film industry, and one thing led to another, and there's many people, as I got to know on set, they're now helping me make my production. So, and that's taken a couple of years to really network and get to know the people that I need to know to get done what I need to get done.
What was the experience like to act? Because I know that was not exactly what you wanted to venture into.
Right. I have to say, coming from a writer's standpoint, if you're reading a character, I think you have a tendency to have a better understanding, actually, than most actors of insight and the mind workings of a character, whatever you're playing. And I think that sometimes writers may even have a leg up on actors in the fact that they know they can see how this particular character was written and can overanalyze it and really put themselves into it to have a good movie or film or, whatever the part is for.
Yeah, and you also, of course, did a short film called, I'm looking up Date Night Scramble.
Right. Yeah, that was actually my first 48-hour film project. And what that is you have 48 hours to create a 5 to 8 minute short film. Basically, they give you, the competition holders give you a genre, a prop, a character, and a line that you have to include in the film. And you have 48 hours to write it, to act it out, film it, and then edit it and have a finished product delivered to the competition holders. And I think we did a really good job on it. And like I said, it's just a 5 to 8 minute film. It was actually my very first co-writing credit on a screenplay that I had done since I moved over here to Atlanta.
Yeah, well, that was the first thing that you filmed?
No, it's not the first thing. Actually, the first, let me think, the first background acting I ever did was in Jackson, Mississippi. It was for actually a Lifetime movie film, and I don't even think it's come out yet. I basically just played a shopper in the background, and it was a huge learning experience to just see how everything works. And, since then, I've done TV series and background and big feature film movies like Geostorm that's just going to come out with Gerard Butler. I actually did background in it in New Orleans. And it's just amazing to me, especially those big budget action films, to see, how you have to pretend if something's exploding or not, and how you have to react when there's actually nothing there. And it's very interesting to see all that come to life and how it happens.
Yeah, you got 3 films that are either in post-production or coming out here shortly. And the first one that's listed is Acres Beyond the Rye.
Right. That was actually filmed in Canton, Mississippi. Let me think. I played a zombie, actually, in that one. It took 2 hours in the makeup chair.
Did you like that?
Actually, it's quite interesting because they put all these latex things on your face and make you look all gory and bloody and stuff. And when you walk to set, some of the people behind the cameras, they're like, wow. It just blows them away how different I look compared to before. And, they really mess you up. But, yeah, it's difficult thing still for 2 hours in a makeup chair trying to get them to get that stuff on your face. But, and especially when you're just going to have, 5 to 10 seconds of yourself in the film, and then it takes, maybe 5 minutes to take it back off. You wonder if it's worth it, but then you see the finished product, and you're like, oh, yeah, that was so worth it.
Well, you got some interesting cast in that film. Lacey Chabert from Mean Girls, James Caan from The Godfather, Lance Hendrickson from Aliens, and Aman Asal as well. Did you get to work with any of them?
I did get to work with James Caan. He's such a sweet guy. Very flirtatious, and he's just. It was unreal to just watch him do his work because he's one of the oldest actors in Hollywood, and it's just unreal. It's like you're learning from the best, and he's one of the ones that needed the least amount of direction from the directors because he's just been doing it for so long. He knew the character he was playing inside and out, and I love actors that can embody that.
Was he flirtatious with you while you were wearing the zombie makeup?
No, not at all.
James Caan was in a movie that was shot handy to here called Jericho Mansions back in, I think it was 2003, and that was terrific. And I like the fact that he can do movies like The Godfather, but he can also do really great independent projects like Jericho Mansions as well. And of course, hearing about him in Acres Beyond the Rye, and I take it he must be the hero of the film, I'm assuming, huh?
Well, I can't really...
oh, you can't disclose that, huh? Okay, no, I won't jerk that out of you.
They make us sign NDA agreements.
Oh, that's okay. I get it. I understand. Excuse me, I got a little bug in my throat here. Did you get to work any with Lacey, Lance, or Amand? Or did you not see them?
No, actually, the only scene I did was actually with James Caan himself. Which that was enough for me.
You know what? You know what? You hit the jackpot with him. I mean, you can't go wrong there.
Right, exactly.
I mean, he was in The Godfather. I mean, it's one of the greatest movies ever made. So, did you ask him questions about stuff like that?
No, actually, when you're on set, especially if you're doing background work or anything like that, they actually specifically ask you not to go up to the actors and interrupt them because at the time I didn't understand, but now I do. Now that I've been behind the camera, it breaks their concentration from their character. Even though you yell cut, the actor still stays in their mind in that character until you're ready to roll again. And if you interrupt them, it can hurt their performance. So
yeah, but you just said he was flirtatious with you. Let me guess.
Well,
James Caan didn't obey the rules.
Well, he's been around the block a bit in film, so I can't really say whether or not he was breaking character, but that's what they ask you every time you go and work in film or TV. That they don't like for you to contact the actors or have any. Unless they talk to you. Now, if they talk to you, you can talk back to them, but don't interrupt them. Don't break their concentration.
Well, you also got listed here a movie called 1 Mile to You, and you also had a good cast in that. Melanie Linsky and Billy Crudup and Tim Roth and Stephanie Scott. What was that film like to do, and what was your role in that film?
Which film was it?
1 Mile to You.
1 Mile to You?
Yeah.
I don't recall that one. I'm sorry.
Are you kidding me? It's on your Internet Movie Database page.
I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah?
I've done so much in the past year. It's hard to keep up with everything that I've done. And, I try to keep up with the ones that really stand out, like working with Gerard Butler or James Caan or, and I've tried to get on The Walking Dead several times, but haven't been lucked up. Even now that I'll just do the directing and writing and none of the acting, I still try to get on Walking Dead just because I'm such a huge fan.
We'll talk Walking Dead in just a We'll talk Walking Dead in just a second, but let's talk about Geostorm, of course. Gerard Butler and Abby Cornish and Ed Harris and Andy Garcia are in that, and you're in amongst that. Tell us about your experience with this.
I did a scene, let me think how much I can tell you. I did a scene in which I did a lot of running.
Okay.
And doing that, I had to stay for 12 hours straight was very tiring, especially when you're not used to running that much at all. And in action films, of course, there's a lot of running and a lot of jumping, a lot of falling and all that included in with it. And you definitely have to be in tip-top shape, especially if you're one of the main actors like he is in the film. It puts me in awe to think that, how much they put their bodies through to create a piece of art that's just, out of this world, really. And, it's just an experience that I'll never forget. And anyone who's around the areas where they film, at least go be a background actor at least once in your life just to say you did it, because I can say it's definitely worth the experience, even if you're just sitting on set for 12 to 14 hours in one day. And, it's just worth it to just watch, see how things are made and how things are done.
So you're a big Walking Dead fan. Now who's your favorite in that show?
Oh, of course, Rick Grimes. I love Andrew Lincoln. I love the British accent. It's funny because I actually went over to meet my publisher in Britain a couple of years ago, and they actually loved my accent so much. It was unreal, because whenever I see someone or hear someone that's British over here in the South, it's like, we're just all over them. Oh my gosh, just say this, say that. And they were like that to me over there, so it was completely odd. But Andrew Lincoln, I have to say, he's my favorite actor on the show, and I just love to see how his mind works and how he portrays the character. It's just awe-inspiring, and I hope one day that I can write characters the way that the screenwriters write that show, because it's just awe-inspiring for sure.
You like Norman Reedus?
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of people like him,
Yeah, Yeah, I know. A lot of females do, but I have to say, being in the South, you see rednecks every day. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
I can see Northerners and people in other countries find him attractive, but here it's just like, man, he's just like everybody else.
You know what? I watched about the first couple of seasons of Walking Dead, and then the third season, and this is me talking as a guy here. They killed off two of the females in one season. I'm like, okay, I'm getting out of here before they kill off Lauren Cohen.
Well, luckily I can tell you they haven't killed her off yet. So.
Well, I remember one season they killed off Lori and Andrea, and people can bitch all they want about Lori. I gotta say, the actress that played her, why is her name escaping me right now? But nonetheless, I thought the actress that played her was really, really hot. And of course,
yeah. Well, I think she's doing Prison Break right now. They cut that series off, and then they've redone it, and I think she's on that back now. So, yeah, I can't think of her name either, but I follow her on Instagram. But you're right, she is a very beautiful woman.
she's got beautiful hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not like mine. I'm redheaded.
Oh, I love red hair. You don't see red hair very much anymore either.
No, I love being redheaded because it just matches my personality so much. I'm so fiery and just out there and in your face and aggressive, and people say the red hair matches you perfectly.
Sarah Wayne Callies. I just looked her up. Yep.
Yep, that's her.
And Laurie Holden played Andrew. They killed them both off in one season. I'm like, you know what? My hormones can't take any of that. Sorry, I gotta say it. They're gonna kill them off and try to impress me with zombies. I'm sorry, nope.
I actually saw Laurie Holden at Walker Stalker Con, which is a convention they have here every year in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And during her interview, she was talking about how she helps bring down a sex trafficking group, and she really does a lot of undercover type stuff, as well as acting, and it's very inspiring to see a woman that can do that kind of stuff and still act and keep herself mentally intact. It's inspiring.
Yeah, Lauren Cohen's still there as Maggie.
Yep, she's still on there.
See,
I'm not going to give away anything on the show because I don't know like the timeline of when y'all watch it there, but it's gearing up towards the season finale here. We've got 3 more episodes left in this season, so
you see the reason I don't watch, because if I start watching, they'll get rid of her.
Oh, gosh.
I think I jinxed those other two. Huh?
She's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, she's one of mine too.
Yeah, I know. Maybe they won't get rid of her. I don't know.
No, they gotta keep her alive.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, look. I know they're obsessed with their zombies, but look, don't kill off all the cute girls in one episode or at one season. That's just a no-no.
Right. Well, I know the girl that plays Rosita, she's still on there, and Sonequa Martin Green, she's still on there, and I'm trying to think of any other attractive women.
Here I'm talking about attractive people in a zombie film or zombie show.
Well, it's so sad they have to dirty them up so much because they're such attractive women. I mean, they're absolutely gorgeous and beautiful, and even the men, I mean, they're really hot looking. And they have to dirty them up and make them as ugly as possible, but they're still beautiful.
I felt bad for Sarah Wayne Callies because everybody hated Lori, and boy, I heard a story that she showed up at, I think, a Comic-Con or something, and people booed her. And you feel bad because, she's just an actress, but people hated Lori so much, and you can't blame them for hating Lori, but at the same time, it's like, it's just an actress.
I know. I think that's something you have to deal with as an actor or anything else that you do that's just a depiction of art that, people get so into whatever they're watching. They think that actual actor embodies the character so much that that's the way the actual person is.
Yeah.
but it's still not true. It's amazing what people can act out that's not like them, and that just it amazes me, because I've had to deal with actors before that have one specific thing that they do. They either act angry, or they're good at comedy, or whatever, and it's picking the right actor for the right role is one of the hardest things that I've had to deal with as a writer / director in the past year or so. So I definitely know that the casting agents have a hard job out for them whenever they go to cast anything. So I completely get that.
Well, you mentioned you as a writer. How many, pieces of writing have you done, whether it be short stories, like personal, or stuff you put out?
Oh, gosh. Oh, so many. Let me think. Well, I've got one novel out for sure, and I've got 2 short films that I wrote myself, and they're actually both in editing right now. And I've got several short stories. I can't even begin to even count how many I've had published. But beyond that, the stories that I have that I haven't gotten out or won't. There's actually one story that I started writing that I won't ever finish because it got to the point that it was so over emotional for me. It was really affecting my depression, and I have severe depression, so it's I have to be careful what I think about all the time. And the story that I was writing was actually about a woman who could see ghosts, and she lost a child. And actually, I lost my second baby during pregnancy, and writing that, it just brought all those feelings and all those emotions back, and I couldn't deal with it. So I actually got to 20,000 words in the story, and I had to actually stop writing it because it was just so devastating to me. And I may actually pick it back up sometime in the future, but right now it's just like one of those little things in the corner of your mind, it's there, and you need to finish it, but I don't know if I want to touch that right now.
You mind? I want to share something with you. I haven't shared this in a little while, but you mentioned that you've had bouts of depression. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to share something with you. You remember a few years ago they had the Ice Bucket Challenge?
Yes.
Yeah. After Robin Williams' unfortunate passing, a new challenge surfaced called the Doubtfire Phase Challenge, and it was for suicide and depression. Mm-hmm. And it involved taking a pie in the face, and you nominate 3 people. And and I did one of those videos, and I sent the nominations out to people I've interviewed, and so far I've had a Canadian actress who's done a number of notable films take the challenge. And I had one of the actresses from Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, accept the challenge. And I had an author accept the challenge. And I've got one former Miss USA that's going to do it, who was in a De Palma film, Body Double. And I've got... So there's going to be more Friday the 13th alumni that's getting in on this as well. And
nice.
Yeah. And of course, I grew up loving stuff like Nickelodeon, watching people get slimed and pied. And I used to love that kind of stuff. And so I threw that depression challenge out. That formed after Robin Williams' passing. And I wanted to get the industry involved because, that's what people want to see is people in the industry do these things. And I thought, I might throw that out to you to see if you want to take the challenge.
I'll take the challenge, yeah. I'll pick a pie to the face.
Yeah, what you do is you just film yourself, you take a pie in the face, nominate 3 people. And if you know anybody in the industry that you could throw that out to, throw them in.
Okay, I will definitely do that.
Yeah, and afterwards you can put it up. And if you want to send the link to me, I can even put it up on my YouTube channel if you'd like.
Yeah, sure, I'll do that, most definitely. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Because I get it. The thing about like I've never been suicidal, but I'm going to tell you, depression can hit you out of nowhere. Because somebody close to me recently got ALS, and that hit me pretty hard. And I got some life choices I've got to make to form around that in the near future. And I was on antidepressants for the first time last year, but I was only on them for a short time. I did the refill, and now I'm fine. And
Yeah.
but that was when I did the video. And like I said, I've had some of my interviewees have actually taken the challenge, and I appreciate them doing it. And I wish this challenge took off as good as the Ice Bucket Challenge. But I remember when I started out, one of my aims is two of my favorite actresses working are Emma Stone and Anna Kendrick, and I thought those two are both funny. I'd like to see them do it, but I thought they might be
Yeah,
just a huh.
that'd be interesting. Yeah.
But I think they might be just a little too high aim for me to reach. So I went with the people that I've been interviewing because I have a connection and an interaction, and then watch this thing kind of grow, and see where it goes. But you can look it up. It's called the Doubtfire Face Challenge. And if you want to throw it out there, you can. If people want to donate to something, they can donate to either the well, you're in the United States, so just say to the American Foundation for Suicide and Depression Foundation.
Yeah, I think it's called the Suicide and Depression Prevention or something like that. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, so if I just thought that I'd throw that out there and get somebody to film. I'm pretty sure you'll have fun with it. So, and you can either pie
Yeah.
yourself or have somebody pie you, however you want to do it.
I can probably think of a few people that wouldn't mind throwing a pie at me.
I used to bring this up a lot, but I stopped bringing it up. I thought it's been a while since I brought it up to anybody, and I thought I'd only bring it up if somebody brought up they were into charities and stuff that involved this kind of thing. And you had mentioned that, and I thought, you're creative. I thought I'd throw that out to you.
Right. Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah. I'm always a huge advocate for depression. People have such a misconception of what depression actually is, and people who struggle with it every day. And it's not necessarily just that you're lonely or you're sad. It's a lot more than just that. You can be in a crowd of people and still feel all completely alone inside, and it's just there's nothing you can do. I mean, everything in your life can be going right, and you're just almost in tears because it's just like a chemical imbalance in your brain. There's really nothing that you can do to stop feeling that way. And it's not necessarily if someone tells you to cheer up that it's going to make you happy. I mean, at that point, whenever you hit that bottom, literally nothing is going to make you happy. You just have to deal with it and struggle with it and move on. I mean, that's the best way I can explain it.
One of the actresses that did it, that I nominated, put it best. She said, it's like being a paraplegic in your mind and everybody asking you to dance.
Exactly.
Yeah, I thought that was
a perfect example.
Yep. So I'm putting that out there and seeing if it will grow. And there's a lot of promise in this, and I'm just kind of sitting back and see how it goes. But I thought, I'd throw that out to you and see. So if you're up for it, there you go.
All right, sounds perfect.
Now, what do we have going on in the future? You mentioned you were doing a documentary. Are you allowed to talk about that documentary?
Yeah, I am actually. Actually, if you go to my Facebook page and just scroll through my timeline, there's the woman that actually interviewed me. She. Sorry, I'm getting another call.
Yeah.
I'm popular. Yeah, when she interviewed me, she asked me a lot of questions like, why do you think people enjoy watching gore and horror and things like that? And actually one question that she asked. She said she didn't ask everyone that she interviewed for the documentary, but she wanted to ask my thoughts on it, was that if there was a purge, like in the movie The Purge, would I be willing to stay inside and hide, or would I be the one committing crimes outside? And I told her, I'm like, don't quote me on this, but I have a kill list of people that I would want dead. And she's like, you know what, that's one of the most honest answers I've got. And I'm like, you know what, life is short. You might as well just be honest throughout the whole thing.
You know, it's interesting.
Would I ever do anything like that? That's a different story. But, you know, I kill people in my stories, and I mean, would you expect me to say anything other than that?
It's interesting you brought up The Purge. There's this group in Los Angeles I come from a Christian household, and I grew up on that, and I still believe in it. But I don't go pushing it on people. And I, too, like yourself, I like horror films. There's this group in Los Angeles that are pushing this agenda, and one of the things that they did, I guess there was a riot in Baltimore somewhere, and I guess they blamed it on the movie The Purge. And they said if you donate money to them, this won't happen anymore.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I love how anytime there's a crime, they will blame it on a movie. It's kind of like with John Grisham in Natural Born Killers, but yet he wrote A Time to Kill. What a hypocrite, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you encounter all kinds here in America. It's just a melting pot. But yeah, you know, and I'm from the South. I was raised in a Christian environment and stuff. But when I turned in my early 20s, I actually converted to paganism, and I actually studied witchcraft for about 3 or 4 years and practiced that. But now I just consider myself pagan because I don't practice witchcraft anymore. But I'm actually part of a coven here in Atlanta called the Spiral Oak Grove. You can look them up on Facebook. And they're just a great group of peace-loving individuals. And, you know, I have to say, I mean, South has this stigma about paganism that we're devil worshippers and we worship Satan and we sacrifice cows and stuff. It's like, no, that's just so not what we are. We're so peaceful. So, I mean, you know, let everyone be who they want to be. Let them marry who they want to marry. Let them love who they want to love and be what they want to be. And that's what the pagan religion is to me. And I wish, you know, the South didn't have that stigma. But, you know, what can I say? It's just the South.
Well, I still practice my Christian beliefs, but I stepped away from the church itself because I'm getting tired of it all being about money when it shouldn't be about money, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you know, money is the root of all evil. I think that's in the Bible somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I had to get away from it. I figure I can read from my Bible and practice my Christian beliefs without having to attend church and have somebody guilt me into giving 1/10 of my earnings, when I can just as easily give 1/10 of my earnings or whatever to a charity where somebody's being helped.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you know, that's one of the things that got me out of, I think, the Christian religion is, you know, being from the South, there's a church on every street corner just about, and, you know, it's preached at you from an early age that you're not supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do that, you're not supposed to think this way or think that way. And me, myself, I'm so independent, you know, I don't like to be told what to believe and what not to believe. You know, I feel like I can make that decision for myself. And being raised amongst that and just told it constantly and completely, it just really I took the whole different route. I said, you know what, I'm going to be everything that you said I wouldn't be. I'm going to be pagan.
Well, you know what, I'm not going to judge you. That's not my place. But you keep mentioning the South, and you know what's going through my head?
What's that?
I keep thinking of Jeff Foxworthy saying, we got words in the South we don't have in any other parts of the country.
Well, you reckon you're right there.
I remember he goes,
we have ain't and y'all and mayonnaise and mayonnaise, a party going on down there.
And you ought to. We're going to Mars. You ought to. Jeff
It's so funny to hear you try to talk Southern.
Jeff Foxworthy. What letter does that start with? Does anybody know? That's all my Southern right there. Jeff Foxworthy taught me it all.
Yeah, you should follow the Blue Collar Comedy Tour. That's one hilarious show. You should definitely try to watch that.
So that documentary, what was that being done for now?
It's actually being done by a director in California. She actually contacted the writer of The Undercarriage, the short film that I'll be directing coming up soon.
Okay.
And because he does special effects and stuff like that for films and independent films and independent series here in Atlanta. And he actually filmed that here. I've got my own camera and lighting equipment and stuff, and we interviewed through Skype. And basically, it's just about, I think she said she had about in between 6 and 8 people that she interviewed for the documentary, and one of them I think was on that did special effects for Friday the 13th series or something like that. I can't even remember his name.
Speaking of which, speaking of gore effects, you must be a fan of Tom Savini.
Oh, yes. Oh, gosh. I loved him from Dusk Till Dawn. That's another one of my favorite horror movies. Oh, gosh. Yeah, I actually went to a convention in Baltimore way back in the early 2000s, like 2002, I think it was. And he had a table set up there with the actual belt, the what was his nickname?
Sex Machine.
Sex Machine. Yeah, he actually had a Sex Machine crutch belt thing that was gun. He actually had that at his table, and I was like, I have to touch the belt. And he was like, yeah, sure, go ahead.
I heard he's a great guy. I am trying, hopefully, to get him on here. I am in talks with it. A lot of it is scheduling because I know he's busy, but I do have a connection, so hopefully I can make that happen.
Yeah, man, he'd be awesome on your show. He's such a super, super nice guy, hilarious dude. But yeah, I think he started out in special effects and then just kind of eased into the acting and stuff. But I think he still just does special effects.
Oh yeah, well he's been in the business like since the 70s, and still.
Oh yeah. He's like Greg Nicotero on The Walking Dead. He's been in it for like since the Alien movies, and I never even knew he had worked that long in Hollywood because he just became, who he is now because of The Walking Dead, how popular he is now. It's just unreal how much he's been working in the industry, and I had no idea. And that's one thing, whenever you watch a movie, you never know how much truly goes into actually making of a film or a TV show. It will take literally 14 to 18-hour days for you to film, not even barely 5 minutes of film. And I think that's why it takes movies like 3 to 6 months to film, because it's just so much, and those actors are just basically working every single day, especially the main actors and the grip people and the special effects people and wardrobe and makeup, and it takes so many people to make art production that grand of a thing, and then you've got the things that go on after they film in post production, the editing, and especially if you have CGI effects and all that, and it's just unreal how many people are that talented to go in to make something so great.
What was it like going into directing? Were you nervous about it, or did you have a mindset of how you wanted to go about it?
Actually, it was very nerve-wracking because I actually had a guy kind of train me to direct while I was directing my first short film. and he actually trains PAs here in Atlanta to be PAs, and he's done a lot of indie film directing and stuff. So, yeah, it was nerve-wracking to have so many people just kind of look at you and say, okay, what do you want, Kim? How do you want them to do this? Or how should this be? Or how should that be? And, you know, you can set yourself up for it all day long, but whenever you get there and get in the chair and are ready to make what you've written come to life, and it's just very, very stressful. But, you know, I'm hoping once I see the final product, and even the second one I've done, I've seen clips and stuff from it. It's just unreal to see something that you wrote that come out of your mind on screen. It's indescribable to anyone who hasn't experienced it. I think, you know, anyone who's a writer should at least try and go for it at least once in their life.
Do you have any directors that are an influence on you that you aspire to be like?
I have to say right now my current director crush is Kevin Williamson. He directed all 3 Scream series, and he not directed. Yeah, he directed. Yeah, he's a
wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mind rambles sometimes. I'm a better writer than I am a talker. But yeah, I have to say he's my biggest influence right now, because he's just done so much in between horror and drama. He did Dawson's Creek, and he did Vampire Diaries, and the spin-off, the originals, and he actually did. I actually got to see him on set at that I filmed background on a pilot episode for a TV series that actually hasn't come out yet. It's about a guy who sees ghosts or something like that. It's a paranormal TV project. I think it was the name of the working title. But yeah, he just does so much in so many different avenues, and I hope to really cross-pollinate my artistic abilities in between horror and drama, especially when I start writing this drama series that been given to create. It'll be definitely an interesting thing. And if you get on Facebook and type in #DateJournal, I've actually had the date journal I've been using in the past few months to kind of chronicleize my dating life, and it's gotten such of a huge following. I'll post, you know, if something happens on a date that's just really outlandish, or what a guy says to me or something, and it can get, like, you know, close to 70 comments like within 2 or 3 hours. It's just unreal how many people are just so enthralled in my date life. It just I don't get that.
I don't either. So what's up in the future? What do you have coming in the near future?
Just that my short film that I'm directing is called The Undercarriage, and you can look it up on Facebook and follow the progress on it. And also the dating series that I'm working on will be titled The Dating Cycle.
Yeah.
And if you do #Date Journal on Facebook, you can see all my date journal things, and that will eventually turn into
a horror film.
Cycle. No. This is actually a web series that I'll be doing about. It actually starts out with a guy who finds his girlfriend cheating, and he spends the rest of the series spreading that hate into everyone that he dates. So it'll be definitely interesting to see what kind of mayhem and trouble he gets into in the dating world. So it's not going to be any gore, or he's not going to be a serial killer or anything like that. But it'll definitely be interesting for people who like to watch, for instance, The Bachelor or something like that.
Or you could take the opposite approach, and maybe he likes watching her cheat secretly. Take the cuckolding approach.
Now we're just getting kinky.
Yeah. Well, Kim, I'm really glad that Steve Joyner had connected us. And you sound to me like a very, very interesting person. I think you've got a lot of promise in your future. And
thank you. I appreciate
yeah,
that.
I certainly enjoy your enthusiasm. I think you should continue to hound the Walking Dead people because I think that, yeah, I think you should get on that show.
Most definitely. I wish I could.
So-
Yeah, just if everyone could go follow me on Facebook, or I'm also on Twitter and Instagram. On Twitter, I'm at KCulpepper1, and that's CULPEPPER. I'm also on Snapchat, just about every kind of social media outlet that you can imagine I'm usually on. I'm out there. Just Google me. Just look me up.
Yeah. Well, it's been great talking to you. You're my 99th interview. You know, I'm on the verge of number 100. I can't believe it.
Maybe you should save that for Tom Savini. Maybe that'll be a advertising point.
Tom Savini, I've been told to reach out in June. I interviewed somebody that's writing his biography right now, and I had this guy.
Wow.
Yep, I had this guy on my show back in September of last year, and he told me to contact him in 6 months, which would have been this month, but he asked me to contact him in June when they have the book finished and are doing some production or some stuff to promote it. And so there's a possibility there. I'm not going to say a guarantee, but I think it looks like there's promise. I might be able to get Tom Savini, but my fingers are crossed. Yeah.
Well, I'll cross my fingers for you, too. I hope you did get him.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting. So, yeah. But yeah, I definitely wish you the best of luck in the future. I think you certainly have a similar goals as Savini does, and
Right. Yeah, I think everyone that works in the industry has that same goal of just, getting whatever they create out there. And, it's not necessarily about the fame or the money for me. And I know a lot of people who have made it, that's the way they feel, is that they just want to get, they want to make their work known. And that's where I'm at this point, is that I just want to get my stories out there and let people watch them and gain their own insights from whatever it is that they need to see or need to feel at that point. I'm a very emotional writer, and a lot of what I write is based behind emotion and mentality and things like that. So I definitely think, whoever watches my films or reads my stories will definitely see those emotional backflashes of my characters and things like that, and formulate their own stories, and just inspire people to go out there and write and create. And I think that what being in the industry is all about is just inspiring other people to create art.
yeah. Well, when this gets ready to podcast out in CHSR, and that'll be a few months down the road, so I ask for your patience. When it does, I will send you the link, and eventually after that, it'll graduate to my YouTube channel, and I have your permission to use a headshot to go along with the audio on the YouTube audio, right?
Right, yeah, just any picture on my Facebook that looks presentable.
Okay. I'll find the one where James Caan was flirting with you.
I didn't have any pictures of that.
Oh, unlucky you. But before you go, would you mind doing a plug for my show?
Sure. What would you like for me to do?
Just say your name, and my name is Greg Gilbert, of course. My show's called Python's Paradise, like the snake, and I'm from New Brunswick, Canada.
Okay.
You ready?
So just say, Kim, this is Kim Culpepper, asking you to watch Greg the Python?
Yeah, Greg Gilbert of Python's Paradise.
Greg Gilbert, Python's Paradise. That's a mouthful.
Yeah. And, of course, I'm from New Brunswick, Canada.
New Brunswick, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is Kim Culpepper begging you to listen to Greg Gilbert, the Python's Paradise in New Brunswick, Canada.
There you go.
Okay.
Well, Kim Culpepper, we wish you the best of luck in the future. Hopefully you will be crashing The Walking Dead sometime very, very soon. And if not,
I hope so.
yeah, and if not, we hope you'll be creating something very, very gory from your writings and creating something.
That's what I aim for.
There you go. Well, we'll bid you a good evening there in the South.
Okay, I appreciate it. We appreciate it here in the South.
The South, where Jeff Foxworthy is from. I suppose you're neighbors with him.
I said, yeah, no, it's not that small of a South.
Well, Kim, I thank you very much for coming on the show, and I thank Steve Joyner for connecting us. I think it's been a joy and a pleasure, and to hear your innovation and your creativity. I really seriously think you have a future, and I wish you the best of luck.
All right, I appreciate that, and I look forward to hearing the show.
Yeah, well, we'll get that out to you as soon as it's done.
All right, perfect. We'll talk to you later.
You take care. You have yourself a good evening.